We are live. Welcome once again. It's me, Pablo, and we're here at the Blender today, number 39 already. Yes, we're getting closer to the 40, number 40. Yes, and then closer to the 50, which is gonna be almost 1 year of making Blender today. Every week we get together to see what's new in Blender. There's people from all over the world right now. We're live. Tijuana, Tunisia, Mexico, USA, Colorado, USA, lots of people from USA, people from Mars, France, Pakistan, Brazil, Slovenia, France, Denmark, amazing, Galicia, even everywhere. I'm gonna be in Barcelona this weekend, but I'm back on Monday, so don't worry, I'm not gonna skip this one. But I'm going to a Blender meeting there. It's like a Blender conference, but in Barcelona. It's organized independently by some people there, some very enthusiastic Blender heads, just for like many years, for a while already. It's one of the oldest conferences. So yeah, gonna be there, super exciting. But isn't it more exciting to talk about the Blender sequence editor? Please give me a thumbs up if everything is okay. Yes, everything is fine. Pablo is evolving. Oh, because of the hair. I'm actually devolving because of the hair. Yesterday somebody told me I was 24 and I'm gonna be 32 next month. So yes, everything is okay. Thank you very much. And the haircut, yes, that's true. All right, okay, let's get to it. There's plenty of news actually this week. I have mainly the things about the sequence are mainly news. I hope you don't get your hopes too high, but are mainly like exciting things that I see in the community happening around the Blender video sequencer. So okay, what is the place for asking questions today? Is here. It's on blender.today. Is not the first item, it's the second one, because actually after Blender Today's live from today, now there will be a talk about MantaFlow, so stay tuned for that one. But now please stay with me and ask questions away. There are already 21 comments. Awesome. All right, so let's get to it. Let's see some of the news from the meetings from today. But first, I also want to go through a few of the other news. First of all, the splash screen contest is still going. So go to Dev Talk, go to the user feedback and splash screen here. Please submit your proposals. Some of them are very nice already. Some of them are pretty obvious about the Blender logo, but some of them I like. And we need coffee for the developers. But you know what, the developers need more funding, so go to fund.blender.org. What a nice segue there. I connected both topics. Go, next. New features and changes. Shrink wrap, new mode that projects along the target normal. I haven't tested this one, so I'm not going to show it. But basically, yeah, shrink wrap. Isn't there awesome that there's these new animation features coming out of the blue? There is the shrink wrap, new armature constraint, which is similar to the modifier but allows you for much more control without actually changing the modifier stack, but as a constraint, something that you can do if it's even linked, like it's connected. So yeah, it's pretty nice. The animation 2020 is getting closer. This animation 2020 stuff, that is very hype nowadays, but this development actually is happening completely independent. This is done by Alexander, if I'm not wrong. So it's a new name around the community. He's been around for a while, but it's a new name in the commit logs so often. So that's pretty nice to see that. There's also updates in the dope sheet and the graph editor. So pretty neato. All right. Next, partial support for Lightpath node. Yes. The Eevee now supports partially the new the Lightpath node. There is a nice if you read the commit logs, there is a nice explanation by Clement, the main developer of Eevee, that explains exactly which ones work, which one don't. But mainly is if shadow works, if it's a camera array. So if we can do this quickly. Oh, by the way, I had to reinstall Blender from scratch because it wasn't compiling, and I don't know if you noticed, just a small detour from the explanation is this is how Blender looks now when you just boot it for the first time. And we're hoping that for the beta we managed to squeeze in the option to actually choose left mouse or right mouse for selection for click. So left click or right click here in the main splash, so people can discover it more easily, because Blender 2.8 is going to ship with the right click select, not the website but the actual right click selection, and the default should be easy to change for other people, so it's not so alien. Yes, we're sticking with the right click, but we have the option a bit more obvious for everyone there. So yeah, this is how it looks right now. There is something about the themes that is going to happen this week. I'm not going to spoil it, but basically we're getting fresh themes, and that's where we need you. But I'm going to make the call during this week. I'm going to make it on the other channel, on the Blender Developers YouTube channel, the official news for Blender development. This call will basically just announce that we are making cleaning the themes in Blender, leaving a dark, a light, and then asking for new themes. So yeah, basically that will be the message. So start updating your themes if you're working on it, and we're gonna pick a number of them. Not as many now. It's crazy the amount, but this is because I also have the contrib one. But basically it should be maybe 8 is a good number, so you know it's overwhelming, and maybe give a better or easier way to contribute new ones. And then the selections, of course. So I'm not gonna save, actually. I don't need to save. Or I can save. So I can see these buttons. Very nice. All right, let's get to it. What else? Yeah, Eevee. So Eevee now can detect we go to the shading workspace. We can make it so some materials are visible for the camera or not. For example, we can just select this one material and then use a light path, for example. And if it's a camera array, we can connect it with, for example, with a transparent. So, oops, I don't have, oh yeah, of course, I don't have any add-on. So let's enable the add-on for Node Wrangler, my favorite add-on after Amaranth, of course. And then you can do Alt. Did you know that one? If with the Node Wrangler add-on, that it comes by default in Blender, you can do Alt and right click in two nodes of the same type, for example, and then it's gonna connect them with the appropriate node. So in this case, there are two shader nodes, so we'll connect them with a mix shader. So that's pretty awesome. And then you can use something like this. For example, if it's a camera array, then show, otherwise don't show. So if we swap them, it should be hidden. Yes, now it's showing the transparent, but I think I don't have transparency enabled. There you go. So now it's transparent for the camera, but for everything else, it's there. So this is the worst example you can give, but basically it's using the transparency for crashing. For that is using the transparency. So it's alpha, guys. We're still in alpha, just a few days away from the beta, but it's in alpha. So you understand, you get the idea, right? I will continue with this shame, and let's make it like nothing happened. No, of course something happened. So cheers, first of all, before I run out of voice. Cheers in memory of Stanley, which suddenly passed away today. Next topic, some more light nodes. Support for interpolation and extension options in image environment nodes. That's actually, I haven't seen that one. Then the noise for hash transparency is also reduced. And for transparency here in the viewport, there is also the X-ray. Now it can actually go to values where you wouldn't see well, especially when you are in wireframe mode. So if you have, for example, a mesh that it's more subdivided, then you would see there is a much nicer interpolation here. You almost don't see the dithering, which before it wasn't possible. So that's a nice improvement right there. Then UI tweaks. Yeah, I'm going to show some of the ones that I did personally on the video sequencer. There is also metaballs. There is metaballs are functioning, and again, when they were, wow, default keymaps is now defined in Python. Yes, so by default you can define the keymap is now defined in Python. So instead of being always in C and then hard coded, it's gonna be dumped into Python. So that way we can tweak it, not only developers but also anyone basically. Then yes, the API nodes are the docs for basically updating the Python APIs, getting a bit more complete. It's if you're working on an add-on, then here you have a bit more information about what changed, what is the new way of doing it. For example, this is the new way in 2.8 and this is the old way in 2.7. So examples like that will make moving your add-ons much more simple. So if actually we're like, the idea is that the beta is when add-ons should start to get updated. But if I were you, if I had an add-on, which I do, I actually have Amaranth, I should start right now. Because there maybe are a few broken changes, but it's not gonna affect every add-on out there. So you should try it. Then Cycles memory usage. This is a pretty nice one. Cycles is getting optimizations. So the example that I saw, our doctor in the house, Sergey Sharivin, had a 52 gigs or 56 gigs of memory, like a render from Spring Open Movie, if you know what I'm talking about, /cloud/spring. Then this movie has a load of volumetrics, and that uses a lot of memory. Also a lot of characters, very complex characters, so it uses a lot of memory. And the target for at the moment is to reduce the memory print of these renders, and it managed to went from like 50 something gigs to 40 something gigs for like 10 gigs less. So that's a pretty nice measurable change. And there I heard there's plenty more coming, but it's hard at this moment because it's not like a one thing that it could reduce the memory, but many little things all over the place, many little features all over the place that together reduce the memory print. Then let's get to it. Wow, there is docs already. Yeah, this is documentation. So yeah, the Blender documentation is getting updated, but it's not there yet. And the idea is that at some point, that will be my task at some point, is to move all of these release nodes into something a bit cooler that will be living in /blender.org/2-8 or 2.8. Basically, that will be the idea. We also have the page to see the changes per version, which we have right now, but I think it's better if we should keep 2.8 its own, or 2.80 its own. We should start calling it 2.80 because it's gonna be 280, not 2.8. 2.8 is a series. It's like 2.5. There was 2.5, 1, 2, 3, 4. But yeah, okay. Continue. What else? I think that's it for now. Let's move on to the news from the video sequence editor. Why did I did this clickbait almost video sequencer love? It's because I think the video sequencer is going through a renaissance. No, it's not there. There is no actual well, there is actual code being changed, but I think the community is starting to see, and the developers and everyone is starting to see how important the video sequencer is. At the Blender Conference 2018 developers meeting, that you can see if you go to the YouTube channel Blender Foundation. There you will see that there is the developers AMA, the AMA basically. They ask us anything. In this ask us anything, Don asked the people there what did they want to see or to basically fix in Blender. They want which part of Blender they wanted to see developed more. So at some point, if people ask, Don is asking to raise their hands, and there is like, okay, I was proposing, I'm sitting over here proposing that it should be the video sequencer. There you go. That's the boy. Look at that boy asking hey, can we improve the sequencer? I don't have a video editor on Linux, please. And then there was proposed a few other options, and then people were voting. And at the end here, you will see hands being raised about voting. And then the vote, I think people are raising the hands. Here, people, all hands up in the air. Yeah, people celebrating. They're not dancing. They're dancing the dance of the video sequencer because we need it. Anyway, there was like a little hint that there's interest. But after that, I've been in touch with on Twitter and with other people that want to also see the video sequencer being improved. And I discovered a whole new world. So much that we launched, as of today, a new Blender community section inside of Blender community. So you know Blender community website, it's this conglomerate, this group of communities that include, for the time being, Blender Today, which is this one, right click select, and Blender NPR, and Blender Oje and Blender Oi in Spanish, and now there is a new one for video sequence editor. And there might be a new one for the French community, Blender Baguette, I think. Let me know what you think about that one. But yeah, and also I think a sculpting one. There might be a new sculpting community here. So yeah, it's pretty new. There are only 3 posts here. But the first post is announcing another thing. It's the Blender video sequence group chat on blender.chat. So blender.chat, if you don't know it, is a a chat for Blender heads. So it's completely independent. It runs. Like we ran it together with Francesco. We made it earlier this year, and it got a few people already involved. But the good thing is that it can help a lot to make these kind of meetings happen. So the sharing of ideas, discussions. I was last week I was asking them for feedback about the changes that I was proposing for the add menu in the sequencer, and everything happened here now. So this is pretty awesome. You can log in with your Blender ID. You don't have to make a new account. You can just use your Blender ID that you use for signing in Blender community. It's all the same. So pretty neat. So yeah, that's why I think that's one of the reasons why I think it's good to have a room for Blender sequencer here, and a chat and discussions. For example, here, how to improve the user experience for the menus in the VSE, the Blender sequence editor. And there is this very nice proposal here about how to improve it, how to change it, with the least amount of development could the sequencer improve. So for example, one of the few things that I did last week was well, some of the things that haven't been added here is 2 documents that I'm going to share now. That is the list of ideas for the video sequence editor. This is one of the main documents that made me think, wow, like there's a lot of people interested in maintaining this. For example, this enormous Blender video sequence Google document. It's just a doc online of gathering of little ideas, little things that could make the sequencer better. Of course, there's things like, yeah, why isn't it like Premiere? Yes, that is not the kind of features that are here in this document. The features here are feasible. They're thought through. For example, the sequencer doesn't have an N panel. How come? I mean, it has one, but it doesn't have a T panel. Sorry, I was confused with the T panel. It has an N panel, but not an T toolbar. So that's one of the topics. Why wasn't never added? Then the menus also could have some arrangement, and plenty of little ideas like that. Then there is also a right click select, there is a paper cuts from 3 years ago. 3 years, well, 2 years ago, or 2.5, from 2016. with the list of improvements that could make the sequencer better. So I missed this completely. Actually, I found out this morning. So I think this is gonna be my my evenings for the rest few days, because some of the ideas, they are not 100% compatible with the new single column layout, because some of them suggest double column, but the some of the settings are, like, some of the grouping are still very compatible. And the way that this is presented, it requires very little new code. Basically, it's just rearranging and making better use of the interface. Or for example, when we have just 3 options, left, center, right, instead of having a drop down, why not just having the buttons? So this is compatible with the current layout system. So many of this, I think I'm gonna spend the next few days trying to improve it. If you want to improve it, please, if you have some time on your hands and you know some Python and the new layout engine in Blender, you should drop by the channel, go to Blender chat or go to Blender community here, and in the VSE there is a link down here in the front page where you can go to chat with other video sequence editor friends. And not only video sequence editor, but there is also a channel for animation. So yes, there was also another document going around about animation, and with a document that Luciano posted about improvements. And this shows really how much people love the little improvements here and there, and how people with experience, because Luciano has been working in the industry for a while, and he been using other tools. So having this kind of input, not only from him, but actually from the people in the industry and outside of the industry as well. So yes, pretty awesome news here. What is happening? Let's move on. That's another community. So you now have a few communities to join. Then another document. Okay, I keep showing Google Docs, and I'm gonna show Blender now for sure. It's the video sequence editor. These are gonna be linked. We should post them in the sequencer community here, because there is a list of all the add-ons available for the video sequence editor. This is crazy, insane. So yeah, pretty awesome, isn't it crazy? We're gonna post it, and it was updated 5 minutes ago. Wow, crazy. Anyway, this is what got me excited about the sequencer. This is why I think the sequencer is going through a new phase, through a new renaissance. So okay, now to the actual things that change in the video sequence editor. I personally did a few things that I thought they were needed. I was using the 3D view and just doing stuff, adding objects, just like the regular use. But then I went to the sequencer and I started adding things. And lately I've been paying more attention to the layouts, to the icons, just because of the new icons, of course, and which ones I love, which ones I hate. Not so much hate, it's going away now. It's getting every day there's all new icons, so you should check out. And decided to do the same with the add menu here in the sequencer, because if you remember correctly, in the video sequencer, the Shift A menu didn't have any icons, so you didn't know exactly what you were adding. It was like lost, like you were lost in a list of items. Second, it had the very useful empty menus. So first, in the scene, well, this is something I got fixed in 2.8, that it will let you add the same scene, which is not compatible anymore now with the 2.8 way of working. You have to add other scenes. So because it will render itself, right? So yeah, anyway, it will have the very useful empty menus that don't tell you anything. In the clip, there's nothing. Why showing that? Image, movie, and sound, they were all in the same category, and then there was the big category of effect strip, which had like everything. It had from like effects like adding to glow, to text. So a text is an effect. In which planet? Blender. Speed control, multicam, adjustment layer. So some of these options, for example, like the adjustment layer, yes, you can add it, but some of them you actually needed to have more than one, or at least one, like the transform, you need at least one strip to work, but that wasn't being explained there, right? You wouldn't know until you add it and you get the error. So a great user experience. Then, for example, the transition ones like cross, they need 2 strips, not 1. So another great user experience. So with this in mind, I went ahead and spent not very long, a few hours of Friday night. That's No Life team. So I added a few icons here. The mask icon is still using the colors because it thinks it's a modifier, but that should be fixed. But basically, when there is no items, I just made it say that there's no items. So at least you know. This is actually, it could say no masks, no clips. If you can improve it, please go. But I'm basically reusing a menu here for this. It's not probably the best way of doing it, but it's there and it works. Then I added a separator between the categories. So scene, clip, and mask is all data from this blend file, while movie, sound, and image sequencer, it's things you bring, right? Like a movie, like a sound, like an image itself. So things that you include from here. Then color and text, they are not effects strips. Maybe internally they are. Maybe everything is an effect strip, but it didn't really make sense. Actually, yeah, it is internally an effect strip because that's what the tooltip says. But the for the user, a color is a color, that you don't need anything else but colors to make it work. Then a text, the same for the text. So with these two in mind, I put them in the first level. I think it belongs there. Then adjustment layer is also one that it doesn't really need anything else, and it could be in the top layer. Then the effect strip, I left it, but because I didn't know exactly what to do with this. These basically, they're like blending colors, like add, subtract, multiply, everything. But at least now they are grayed out because they are not possible to add them. They just you just wouldn't work because they need to have at least one. In this case, for this one, only one selected strip. So if you actually have a selected strip, then you can add those. Not this one because they need two actually. These ones need at least one. Transform, speed control, still they're not very related. Like speed control is nothing to do with the add, subtract, and stuff, but at least it's one step further to the end. I'm gonna break. Transitions. So if you have two strips, now you can add transitions. So what are? Basically cross, come across, and wipe. These were the same in the effects, but I think a transition serves like a top level kind of thing. So that's a very nice little tricks that I did. I moved the markers. So the markers, it was somewhere in view markers, but now I moved them to sync markers. This was suggested by people here in the where was it? Oh, in the DevTalk forums. There is a thread called paper cuts. So paper here, paper cuts. Paper cuts are little things that are a bit annoying, maybe in the interface, something that maybe doesn't take a lot of work to do, and that it could be improved just with a little bit of code in order to make the user experience a lot better. So one of them was here by Tintwatin. He's the one that suggested those fixes, and I think more of them are coming this way. This, by the way, they're very simple to do in a way. They're simple for new developers to start with. So if you want to get involved with the Blender code, you should have a look, because it really helps to get to know a little bit of Blender code. So the development itself of these tasks is moved, like the ideas are in the dev talk forum, but the actual tasks are in the developer.blender.org in this thread here. And this is one of them that I did myself with the help of the community in the dev talk. This is the visibility popover. Now has actual mesh, eye icons and actual arrow icons. So they're nicely aligned. Before that, they had like a checkbox, but now at least they are a bit more closer to what you're actually doing, changing visibility. And yeah, and now it actually explains what it says, what it is. It's the object types visibility. Because another paper cut idea from the dev talk forums was that this popover didn't have any description what it is. Popovers also, for the moment, is a bug I reported it, is that they don't have tooltips, so you know exactly what you're doing. And some popovers had a description, but some of them didn't. So now we're trying to go through them and try to unify that. So if you are a developer, please consider, if you're trying to learn, please consider getting here, because some of them are super simple. Some of them are not, but most of them are simple to start and getting familiar with the code. More updates. So this was the list of Shift A animation community. I think I'm done for now. There is a few the little things. The Cryptomat metadata is now written to the actual file. Completely different. This is not the video sequencer, but the Cryptomat, remember that I explained a couple live streams ago already too, yes. The data wasn't being saved to the file yet, but now it is. So go play with it. And last but not least, the Workbench Engine. I know I wrote it here down. I didn't have a file because basically it's an improvement that happens everywhere regardless. It's the now there's cubic filtering for the smoke simulations. Basically better looking smoke for like more defined when doing simulations in the Workbench Engine, not in Eevee yet, but I think that one is coming. But for now, it's a Workbench Engine, also known as OpenGL. What a boring name. I like the name Workbench much better. By the way, okay, I'm gonna start with the questions, and while I am reading those questions, I'm gonna watch this nice compilation by Gleb Alexandrov, taking the a bunch of files from file demos from Eevee during the year, like during the 2.8 development. Some of them are showing some of the effects, like in this case Lapisea, he's always here in the live stream, and some of them are more specific, like the SSS demo that we just saw, this amazing thing from JAMA. And I will start reading the questions. So I'm going to leave this here. Look at the volumes. Amazing. Okay. I'm going to leave this here, and then I'm going to read the questions from Blender Today right here. So here, 33 questions. Let's see. Here. So first question, when will we have Amaranth in 2.8? Amaranth is my add-on. You can find it, well, it's for Blender 2.7, but Amaranth here. So Amaranth is my add-on with the Comic Sans, very nice, that I've been making for a while now, for many years, and some of the features are actually very handy. I would like to move some of them to Blender itself eventually. But for the time being, some of them are outdated, like Shift C. Actually, this one landed in Blender 270. Thanks. It was a feature that I put in an add-on time ago, and then it made it to the actual Blender. That's nice. Some of them are very specific. Some of them are broken, like the layers one. I can't even port that one because we don't have layers anymore. But yeah, basically, it will come, but can't promise, can't give a date yet. So, okay. Let's leave this here, and then I'm gonna put the questions down here. question. So hovering over polybuild in edit mode shows shortcut but not tooltip, and add cube tooltip shows set the location of the 3D cursor. Maybe that should be renamed to 3D cursor, etc. Huh. Okay, I will have a look later. It's yeah, it's something to do with the tooltips, but you should check in the latest one because there has been a fix today on that one. So I'm checking. When will you make the video about how to compile and contribute to Blender? Well. Speaking of that, I couldn't compile during, like, for instance, Thursday. There was like a cleanup in cycles that made it impossible for me to compile with my version of GCC, a compiler. So that was fixed today by Sergey in my computer at work, but for some reason I couldn't get it to work here. So not now. But actually I wanted to do it this weekend because I had a free weekend, and the next one I'm gonna be in Barcelona. So yeah. Hey, Pablo, are the add-ons panels still going to have that vertical awful what? Build? Are the add-ons still going to have that vertical awful tab system? Is anybody working on that in terms of UI? Should I leave some ideas? Yeah, always leave some ideas on right-click select. Not on Blender Artist, because in right-click select there's like people can vote up and down. I don't know on Blender Artist, but at least there you can vote. So that's that is pretty nice, and that people can see exactly what's going on. I hope I'm not playing with audio here this video. No? Okay, otherwise okay, and I can remove the video. Great video, Gleb. It would be nice if at the end you can mention, just drop the fund.blender.org, which is actually, did you know that the Blender Development Fund, it's what made Eevee possible in part, because that's what was giving a grant. Actually, you can see here in grants that Clement got a grant to work on Eevee during the second half of the last year. So if this is looking awesome, it's because awesome developers, awesome artists, and awesome people contributing to the Blender Development Fund. So from now on, this is a shout out to all YouTubers. Please mention it every now and then. It's for a good cause. Next questions. Let's see. Yes, how are the add-ons still going to have that vertical awful tab system? Well, they can go anywhere basically. They don't need the vertical tab system. They can add panels too, so yeah, they can be anywhere. But if you have any ideas, please leave it in right-click select. Vit says, hello, Pablo. Hello. Will the outliner show parenting hierarchy even when collections are visible, or current state is the final functionality? Current state is actually the final functionality. What he's mentioning here is, if I add a monkey and I parent it to the cube, this is actually not reflected here in the outliner, and it used to, but the problem is that now, since the cube can be in a collection here, for example, and the Suzanne is in a separate collection, so how to show it properly, right? How to show it? Should we show like a ghost or what? How to do it? So you can actually preview that. If you sort by scenes, you should be able to see it. Yes, here you see, if you show the objects in the scene, then you see the hierarchy, but not when seeing the collections in the view layer. If anybody has any ideas, please put it up on the right-click select, because we would like to know. We try different things, but there's always something that is never quite right about this system. So okay, let's go. As Jaros asks, hey, are the all built-in add-ons from Blender 2.79 planned to be ported to 2.8 beta or stable? Yes. Every add-on that is built in with Blender, that is shipping with Blender, and that it makes sense, of course, like the layer manager, it doesn't make sense in 2.8, are gonna be ported to 2.8 beta. And many of them are already there. Actually, if you check out the add-ons, you would see these ones from most of them should be enabled for 2.8. Most of them. Okay. Where am I? Here. Sim says, it's a bit annoying that all the header and the interactive navigation just disappear when you do, yes, this thing, that you move an object and the whole thing disappears. It's very annoying. We already mentioned this to the developers. There is a paper cut, if I'm not wrong, if I'm not mistaken. It's not an easy task. Basically, the proposal is that this stays the same, this basically, and that these values up here in the corner, that they show up here in the center. Maybe that would be one way. Problem is the objects, like this text, when it goes from like 0 to more, it jumps around, you know, it goes like left, right, left, right. So if you put it here in the center, it's also gonna be jumpy. So what would you propose? I don't know exactly what to propose, but basically that's just basically to avoid this jumping, because sometimes you need the precision of like 7 zeros, but sometimes you don't, so that's not shown. But yeah, we know about this issue and we already reported a few times already. It's very annoying, the blinking. Gary says, can't post URLs as Google building, so Google building Blender is for $279, and after Blender Git on the clone line. Okay, I didn't get that one. If it's a question or sharing a link, you should be able to share links. It's possible to share links in Blender today. Someone else says, hi Pablo, what do you think about the idea of adding an option to the user preferences to hide the keyframe button next to the keyframe values? To hide the keyframe button next to the, so that when you know the shortcut, it doesn't take that much space. So basically a toggle for this, for the, yeah, it could be. I don't think it should be too hard actually to do, because it's automatically added by the engine, by the layout engine. And some of them, they don't have it, but some of them do. So maybe it's not even that hard. Hey, new developers, please check out the code. The code is a mess. That one that makes the layout is a mess. But maybe that little part, check out for decorate, all caps, prop_decorate, I think. Look at the code for that. Look at right click select. There's an amazing UI idea. Let's call it floating panel. Let's see. Right click select. What a great website. So floating panels when there is no space. 27. So what is this? Basically, it is a floating panel actually when there is no space. Oh wow, that's very nice. So you collapse the buttons, and then when you mouse over, eek, but then they will jump place, right? When you move around up and down. I should read this without I shouldn't complain without reading this. So Affinity for iPad has something like this apparently, and it's pretty interesting. Oh, what a nice UI. Lovely. Well, the color scheme is actually the same as 2.8. So we wouldn't be that far. And I like actually these lines on the side. There's a proposal in right click select that proposes that basically. And I would love to have like a little line down here on the side that shows which tab is active, and also to show by color, like there is a proposal that uses color to separate between these kinds of like categories basically. So like shading is red, and the same as the lamps, for example, and modifiers are blue, so that way you can tell them apart more easily. So I'm totally behind that idea. I love it. We need more developers, more UI developers. Another question. So mcart says, hey Pablo, 2.8 and Eevee have been looking fantastic, but I have noticed that lots of flickering in Eevee renders, especially with glossy reflections and volumetrics. Should we expect all the flickering issues to be resolved? the official release, or is up to the user to account for? I think it's a mix. It's a mix. I think the more people use it, the more it will be polished over time. This week they're having a lot of fixes regarding volumetrics, so you should check like the latest and latest. And with this in mind, I think it also depends on the user itself, like how much you tweak it for the render, how much you increase the samples, because Eevee is meant for real time. If you want to have a flicker free render, you should amp the samples as much as possible. So then yeah, the render will take a bit longer, but you'll have nicer looking renders. Hello, it says control space node editor with node wrangler enabled. Why edge data is so far away? Hey, 3 questions. That's cheating. So control space in the node editor shows shift F3. Why can't do shift F3? Okay. Shift space, but that's play. I know control space. Yeah. So what? Oh, with the node wrangler. But the node wrangler is an add-on. Why do I have to check on add-ons? Yes, what a big venue. No, this shouldn't be in the because it's yeah, it's taking the well, that needs to be changed. Basically, the shortcut for going full screen should be shift space, and the shortcut for playback should be spacebar. That's something that I still believe we should change eventually. But if we don't manage to change it, then node wrangler should change the shortcut and maybe add that to like the W, well, which is already used, but maybe on the right click or somewhere. Icons and properties tab should be as in outliner for our object lamp. Yes, colored. Dorian says, why Eevee lamps don't use the same node of cycles lamp? Well, because Eevee lamps don't use Eevee doesn't have lamps for sorry, it doesn't have nodes for lamps yet, right? No, it's not there yet. It's not implemented yet. It will be, but it's not implemented yet. There is no limitation basically, but it will be eventually. It's not now. Seda says, I would like to suggest that there be an option in the preferences to have auto smooth as the default for new objects. Not sure how many would agree, but I think it is an useful option. It's very useful. Basically allows you to have awesome things like a cylinder smooth, but not everywhere, only on the size based on the angle. So if you enable that auto smooth, then and you set it to smooth, then you will have, where is this guy? In mesh. We need to put it somewhere closer. Wasn't it in W? Smooth shade. Was it changed? Okay, Control F. And this is what allows you to do, instead of weird shading, then auto smooth. Yes, it should be, maybe there should be an option, because the problem with auto smooth is that it has to recalculate the normals all the time, basically, to see what to smooth and what not to smooth. So if you're playing, if you have it by default on a character or on a very heavy mesh, it can affect your performance of your playback, your frames per second. So careful when you use it. So maybe it should be an option, but it shouldn't be on by default, because it means that every mesh is going to be slightly slower because of this. Very slightly, but still. The one about edge data. Sorry, yeah, I missed that one. Why is edge data so far? Control E. But I think that got fixed, right? Control E, mark sharp, mark seam. Yeah, look. Control E, mark seam, mark sharp, everything. Mark sharp from vertices, mark freestyle. Everything is top level now. So if you want to mark a seam, Control E, M, and then you have it there. So always test the latest builds, guys. Always. Blender keeps evolving by the minute. Next, Sarah says, I would like to suggest that there be an option. I already have. Or this one, another from Dorian. What are we going to do with Ctrl G now? It's useless. Why not using the big container grouping proposal of right-click select? No. Ctrl G makes a new collection. So it's the same as before. Well, it used to be groups, but if you have multiple objects, then you do Ctrl G and it will make a collection, which maybe it should link it by default, but it's not linked here basically. So yeah, that will be the only thing. So for example, if you go to collection instance, it added a new collection, but it's not linked to the scene. Maybe it should link it to the scene. Yes, maybe it should. View layer. Yeah. Anyway, Ctrl G makes a new collection, but it's not clear. Let's move on. Hello, will the program ever have macro recording functions? Yeah, I think eventually, because that's something I've been proposed many times by the developers even, but it's not there yet. Pablo, Blender community sites don't work in Russia. Can you look into that? Right click select Blender chat. Blender chat even. They give an error connection reset. Oh, okay, I'll look into it, sorry. Rex says, hey, I love the show, and if you need a retopology add-on, go to Get Blender Market and look for Retopoflow. But well, Retopoflow, yes, I know it's a good add-on, but it's commercial. The sources, I believe they're available because they're awesome, but it's a commercial project, so we can't include this one in Blend. I mean, technically can, but it's not cool because that add-on took forever to be made. So it's good that businesses grow around Blender. Would be nice maybe some parts of the add-on where like maybe some of the tools, the layout, the very nice UI, some of them could be ported into Blender, but the whole add-on for the time being, at least until at least they make the money back, should stay there. And support this kind of business. They're good for Blender. Also, people should be able to make money with Blender. It's fine. And better if they contribute. Do they contribute? If they have the little heart, yes, they have a little heart. So they contribute to the development fund. That's nice. So that's 6 says, full name here in Blender community cannot be changed. This will be fixed this week. We already fixed it. Actually, if you go to GitHub Armadillo, there is a there are a few things that got fixed this week, and one of them was the one about about the changing the name. Here, this one, allow name editing in user settings, was committed. Yes, some time ago, 20 hours ago, was fixed by Francesco City. So super awesome, because I don't know if you knew, but this website is actually open source and just like everything, it's awesome. I've got something for your next Hold My Beer episode. I can't find a way to render wireframes without the internal wire material. I know about freestyle. Oh, by the way, did you know that sorry, off topic, but freestyle is back? Yes, so our favorite toon line rendering, not for Eevee yet, unfortunately, but if you render with cycles, and so for example, if you render and okay, I render without, so you see the before and after, and you just need to render in the render settings, just enable freestyle render, and you should see outlines. Yes, it's working again in Blender 2.8, and I cannot wait until this works with Eevee. It would be amazing, and real time, so you can rotate the view and see it real time. It would be awesome. Yes, that plus Grease Pencil is like the master of NPR Blender. All right, let's see. Yeah, the wireframe modifier about yeah, no, I can't find a way to render wireframes like in Blender internal when you could do it. It's not possible with Eevee. I'm not sure about that one. Sorry. And it's almost 10 o'clock, so I'm going to answer 5 more questions. Otherwise, it gets too long. Jason says, will we be able to assign long key press to shortcuts? Long key press to shortcuts. You can you? So if you are editing your input and you change it, click release. No, it doesn't have the long. Interesting. No, it doesn't. Could be. Yeah, that's a nice addition. Jason, will we have to wait until the beta to exact implementation of MantaFlow and OpenSAFdiv? Also, is fracture modifier a 281 thing? Unfortunately, I think it will be, because we are literally around the corner with 2.80, so that should wait. Otherwise, it's way more things that will make Blender unstable and new and more things to fix. Then, will we get an update on well, actually, OpenSAFdiv should be part of 2.80, but MantaFlow and fracture modifier may not, unfortunately. Sad news, but they will come eventually. And if you follow Blender today, you will learn when. So, will we get an update for FlexiRig, the rig created for Glass Half? I have been using the rig a lot lately, and I really want to continue using it in 2.8. I think you're the first person to ask about this, so yeah, why not? FlexiRig. It's the rig that was used in the movie, the Open Movie Project Glass Half, and I think it's basically Rigify, so maybe it shouldn't be too hard to use it. Have you tested? Maybe it's not even that broken. Check it out. Is there a plan to change the Ctrl-Z behavior with tools? For example, if I switch from eraser to brush, make a single stroke and undo it, it switches back to the eraser. Yeah, I know that bug. Yeah, it has to be looked into, but we're aware of that one. It's very annoying. The character hero says, many hotkeys do not work in 2.8. For example, X, Alt, B. Well, X should work. X is for deleting, and that still works. That it's the same. Alt, B for Alt, B. That one also works. Oh, but no, for the one that blocks the view, the clip border. This one. Yeah, this one actually has to be ported back. Interesting. I completely forgot about that one. But yeah, it must come back. It's super useful. I use it very often, and it's just not working right now. So I'm gonna good. Thank you for the reminder. I'm gonna ask again. Okay, 2 more questions. Rex says, in Blender 2.80 in edit mode, if I press Ctrl N, then the normals don't fix itself. How can I do it now? What? In 2.80, oh, it just changed basically. So for example, if I have a this normal inverted, like if I make this smooth, so if I have this issue, for example, and I want to fix the normals, I just select everything and then Ctrl Shift N, and it should fix it. Interesting. Oh, there it got fixed. Yeah, that was it. Is that the shortcut changed now? Is Ctrl Shift N to fix the normals. It's not Ctrl N, because Ctrl N now is for new file, and the idea is that it's also consistent in all modes. So even if you're in edit mode, Ctrl N should always do the same thing and not different things like it used to, for consistency. Okay, last, can Blender Foundation make some small grants for growing development fund to give a little rewards for developers like Pablo de Barro for his amazing Sculpt tools improvements? Just a little tip for being awesome. Yeah, I think there should be a way to not sort of buy, but maybe something like that, right? Like giving some sort of reward for these kind of features. I think it would be nice. I don't know what is the best way to go with it, like how much is how much, and if everybody wants that because it's hard to deal with money, right? It's like maybe you give an amount and it's not enough, and people get offended, or people don't want. Actually, many developers don't want because they feel the pressure that now they have to finish that feature. So I don't know exactly what would be the best way to go about it. Let me know what you think in the comments. But how I love his work, and it should be rewarded, of course, but how to do it in a way that is ethical and fair for everyone. I bet everyone will get a lot of support if this feature gets added, for example, like the one he posted the other day about the symmetry for brushes. But yeah, crazy. After such a huge, okay, the last one. After such a huge important change as your haircut, how will Blender ever stay the same? Blender will never be the same. It's changed for good. I will cut this episode here. Sorry. One more question. That is mine. Which one? Blender TV tutorials from Blender Life. Which one was it? Shop? This one? Oh yeah. Hey Pablo, will physics work in Blender 2.8 beta? All physics maybe. And why name here is shop? I can't change it. You will be able to change it soon this week. I will announce it here, but we are working on it. So sorry. So yeah. It's shift N. That's fixing the normals. So thank you. Sorry, yeah, I know. Sorry that I rushed in some questions. I couldn't even get to read these ones. Read these questions. I'm sorry, but I think the system works better because at least people can ask before time, and I don't have this issue about the scrolling. I'm gonna be reading here the comments here in the chat. And I will have, for people that are using they speak Spanish, I'm gonna be making a live stream in 1 hour over at blenderhoy.com. From here, Blenderhoy, you can find the YouTube channel. I'm gonna make a live stream, which I still haven't even made the event. Sorry about that, but I'm gonna make it right now. So yes, I have to go. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you've seen some of the new things. I will wrap this up. I'm gonna move to full screen, put something bright so I can brighten my face, and I start moving my audio player here so I can say goodbye like I always do. I hope you had a fun time. Next week I will be showing even more stuff, probably the last before the beta, who knows, because next week is already 19, and then yeah, the beta is either that week or the other one, and that's it. It's just crazy. So yeah, if you want to see more Blender today, here in the chat, Bone Studio, and there is a link in here in the in Blender today where you can see there will be another YouTube event live now here. So if you want to have even more live stream, I will see you there. Otherwise, I'll see you in Blender today. Blender.today, your source for all news. Blender today. Thank you for staying until this moment, and let me know in the comments below what are your thoughts about today's episode. And if you're excited about the sequencer, please join the Blender community there, and join the Blender chat to see what are the changes, what do you want to see. I'm super excited about the sequencer. I can't not wait. All right, if you're wearing headphones, watch out because this is gonna blow your ear holes. Ciao. Thanks everyone. I will see you again next week, same place, same time. Ciao.